Hello friends, welcome to Crackgate CSE, and in this series of algorithm, today we'll be understanding what is depth first search traversal. In the previous video, we have discussed what is breadth first search traversal and what is the data structure used in breadth first search traversal. So in breadth first search traversal, we use the queue data structure, but in depth first search traversal, you will be using the stat data structure. Another difference is that in breadth first search traversal, first we take care of all the adjacent values, right? But here in the depth first search traversal, we will be exploring every newly visited node. How? Let's try to understand this with the help of example. So here you can see that I am having this example, and whenever I am visiting a node, I will be pushing that node into our stat. For example, here I am starting with A, right? So if I am starting with A, I will be pushing A into the stack, right? And whatever the node you are pushing, you just have to print it, right? And after A, what is the adjacent? So here you can see that there are three possibilities to get the adjacent value. You can take any one of them. So I am taking B. So I am pushing B. So B will be printed. Now what are the adjacent of B? A and E. A is already available in the stack, so we will be selecting E. So E will be here, so E will be printed, right? Now you have to select the next adjacent for the E, because E is the newly visited node. So there are two possibilities, one is C, another one is G. Let's say I am taking C. So I am taking C, and again I am printing C over here, right? After printing C, now you have to check the adjacent of newly visited node. So what is the adjacent? F and A. A is already available in the stack, so we'll be inserting F into the stack. So F will be printed. After F, you can see that there are two possibilities. One is G, another one is D. Let's say I am printing G this time, right? So G will be printed. Now you can see that there are no more adjacent to G which is not traversed. So we will be backtracking. So after coming to G, we will be backtracking, and this will be popped out, right? This will be deleted. So after coming on to F once again, we will be seeing that what are the possibilities which are left. So here you can see that D is left. So I will be using D this time. So here you can see that this is one possibility of depth first search. And if the question asks you that how many stack units are required for this depth first search traversal, so you can count the units. So here 6 units are required for this traversal. In the same manner, you can find out the other traversals as well. So let me just give you one more sequence or the series. So this is one possibility. Similarly, there can be n number of possibilities. It entirely depends on the particular example or the graph that you are working on. So let's say again I'm starting from A. So A will be inserted and A will be printed. Now let's say that this time I'm taking C. So C will be inserted and C will be printed. After C, there are two adjacent, E and F. Let's say I am taking F this time. So F will be inserted. So what are the adjacent of F? D and G. Let's say I am taking D. So D will be printed. After coming at D, you can see that A is already traversed here. F is already traversed. That means now you have to backtrack. So after D, when there is no new node available, you have to backtrack to F. So this will be popped out. Now what are the possibilities for F? C and G. C is already available in your stack, so we'll move on to G. G will be on the place where you popped out the D. Now this time, what are the new adjacent value for G? So G will be printed. So the adjacent value or the node is E. So E will be inserted. After E, what is the node which has not been traversed? B. So this will be E, and then there will be B. B will be inserted. So here you can see that how many stack units are required. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So again 6 stack units are required. So there may be a possibility that in some sequence you may require 5 units. So it entirely depends on the sequence that how many stack units are required. In these two sequences 6 units are required for both of these. So what I mean to say by this example is that the depth for such traversal may need not be unique, and there can be several possibilities which can be arises. It depends on the options that you are selecting for the adjacent vertex, right? Similarly, you can find out the numerous possibilities. So try to find all these possibilities by your own. Try to find the you can try to find out the maximum number of possibilities that you are getting when you are starting with A. So this will help you in understanding or practicing the question. So try to consider it as a practice question and practice all the possibilities that you are getting with A. So these two are given. Find out the other possibilities and put them in comment. I will let you know whether they are right or wrong, right? So they can ask you the question that if you are starting from a particular node A, how many possibilities are there? So they will give you some options like 1, 2, 3, 4, and you have to find out how many possibilities are there for the depth first search traversal using a specific node, let's say A. Now the second kind of question which can come is they will give you a particular graph and they will give you some sequences, and they can ask you among these 4 sequences how many sequences are depth first traversal. So let's try to do this as well. So now I'm going to do it directly. Just follow this how I'm doing it. You can easily do it by your own. So first I'm starting from F. So we are here. After F they are taking D. That means the another adjacent, which is okay. After D they are taking C. So we have to visit the adjacent of newly explored vertex. So newly is D. So after that they move to C. So we moved on to C. Now they have to find out the adjacent of C, which is B. So they took B, which is right. After B they have to find out the adjacent of B, which is E. So here they are right. After E, what are the adjacent value? F and B, but F and B are already done. So we have to backtrack. After coming on to E, we are going back to the previous node, which is B. Now again we will be finding out the possibilities. So one is C, one is A. C is already done. That means A is the new possibility. So we are moving on to the A. After moving on to the A, we will find out the adjacent, but there are no adjacent. So again we will backtrack to B. If no new adjacent values or the vertices are present, backtrack to the previous one, which is C. Again at C also there are no new vertex. So backtrack to D. At D, find out the adjacent. There is no new adjacent, so backtrack to F. Now find out the adjacent, so G is the adjacent. So this is the correct sequence. Now let's quickly move on to the next one. So again they are starting from D. From D they moved on to the F, which is right. After F they moved on to the E, which is right. After E they moved on to the B, which is right. After B they moved on to the C, which is right. Then they backtrack to B, and from B they find out a new node, which is A. So this is right. Then again they backtrack to E, then from E to F, and then from F they explored a new node, which is G. So this is also right. If you are getting difficulty in finding out that how I am doing all this, try to find this using the stack method. You will be easily getting the exact working of this depth first traversal. Now let's check for this third one. So they started from G, they moved on to the F, which is right. After F they took D, which is right. After D they took B, which is also adjacent, which is okay. After B they moved on to the E, which is okay. After E there are no new node because F, B, D are already traversed, so they backtrack to B. And from B there are two possibilities, one is A, one is C, so they moved on to the A. Then they backtrack to B and they find out the C. So this is also the correct sequence, right? Now find out for this one. So for E, it started from E. Let me use a different pen. So here you can see that they started from this E and they moved on to this F, which is okay. After this F, they moved out to this D, which is okay. After D, they moved on to this G, which is not right because they have to explore the newly visited vertex. But D is the newly visited vertex and G is not adjacent to that. So this is not the correct sequence. So how many of these sequences are right? 3. So this will be the right answer. So this is how you can solve the questions on depth first search traversal. And in case if there is any difficulty, just let me know so that I can provide you the solution for that thing as well. Now the next thing is time complexity. The time complexity for breadth first traversal and depth first traversal will be order of n, where n is nothing but the number of vertex or the number of node in the given graph. So this order of n will be when we are talking about the adjacency matrix. Sorry, not matrix, it is list. Because in adjacency list, we'll be having adjacent value in the next node. But if they are asking that if we use adjacency matrix, then what will be the time complexity? If they are using the adjacency matrix, then the time complexity will be order of n square. Why? Because to find out the adjacent vertex, order of n square is required. So the time complexity using the adjacency list will be order of n for both of these, and the time complexity using the adjacency matrix will be order of n square for both of these. I have already explained you that how the time complexity varies in terms of adjacency matrix and adjacency list while I was explaining, I think, Prim's, when I was explaining you the Prim's algorithm. So the same thing is over here. Now what are the different applications that you have to understand? So there are numerous applications of BFT and DFT, out of which several are common, which is you can find out whether a graph is connected or not. What does it mean? Let's say if you are having some graph like this, right? So if you apply BFT over here, let's say that you started from some node, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, this is 5, 6, 7, and this is 8 and 9. So you applied BFT one time and you are able to do this. Then to complete these two components, you have to again apply the BFT or the DFT. So one time if you applied, you find out the one component, then again if applying, you will be finding out the another component in the second time, and if you are applying for the third time, you will be getting the another component. So how you can find out the number of component? The number of times you have to apply the BFT and DFT is equal to the number of components that are available in the graph. So this is how you can find out whether the graph is connected or not, or whether the graph is the graph is having how many disconnected components. So you can easily find out by following this procedure, right? Next, you can also find out whether a graph contains cycle or not, because let's say you are applying BFT or DFT anything from A, and you started from A, you moved on to the B, then E, then D, and if you are coming back to the node which has been already traversed, that means the graph contains the cycle. The same BFT and DFT are also used in the Google Map navigation or the other navigation applications, right? And using the BFT, you can find out the single source shortest path. How? Let's see. Let's say that from A, so this is, I'm talking about the BFT only. Using BFT, you can find out the single source shortest path in the unweighted graph. These are the unweighted graph, and here if you have to find out the single source shortest path from A to F. So let's say you have to find out from A to F. So try to write down all the possible paths that we are having from A to F. So one is A, B, D and F. Another one is A, B, C, D, E, F. And one is A, B, E, F, right? So to find out the shortest path between A and F, you have to explore all the possibilities. Then among these possibilities, count the number of edges. Here you can see that I am getting 3 edges. Here you can see that I am getting 5 edges, and here you can see that I am getting 3 edges. So what is the shortest path? The path in which we are having the minimum number of edges will be the shortest path. This is not possible by using the DFT because we are traversing in a deep wise manner. So this is possible with the BFT only. You can find out the shortest path using the BFT only. But using the DFT, you can find out the strongly or weakly connected components. How? Let's see. Let's see that if we are having a graph as A, B, C, D. Let's say I am having this particular graph, and the connectivity is given as this. So when you are starting from a particular node and you are getting back to that specific node from where you have started, this will give you an idea whether a graph is strongly connected or not. So to find out the strongly or weakly connected, the directions has to be directed graph. That means the edges has to be directed. So you can easily find out whether the graph is strongly connected or weakly connected. There are some more applications also for this BFT and DFT. This BFT and DFT algorithms can be used in the network broadcasting where you have to broadcast the message from one place to another place. You can just try to Google it and you will be getting the numerous applications. But these applications will not be asked in your GATE exam, so I am not covering in a deep wise manner. But although I give you a brief idea about this thing. So with this video, our algorithm playlist is completed. Please watch this complete video because these videos are especially designed for GATE, and I also discussed some of the previous year GATE questions in this complete playlist. So thank you very much for your time. Keep supporting, keep learning. Have a great day.